3 August 2020, and I'm joined by Mr. Tinashe Jonas from Ideal Zimbabwe. How are you, sir?
I'm very fine, surviving Corona each day, one day at a time.
Fantastic. So today I want us to talk about the trending topic or hashtag, Zimbabweans Life Matter. What are your views on this trend?
I think the first view is that we don't have what we call national interest. When we expose ourselves to the world, to SADC, to our neighbors, we still feel as opposition that when we get sympathy from SADC, from AU, somehow a miracle is going to happen, and whether it's UN or the US is going to call ZANU-PF government and give them 5 hours to resign. So it's a sign of desperate opposition, which is fooling people into believing the opposition wants to remove ZANU-PF when Dr. Ngosana Moyo rightfully said people are not fighting the system, but the people are fighting the system to join the system. MDC Alliance is desperate. They've approached the President Ramaphosa, former President Thabo Mbeki, for talks with the ED, with the President Emmerson Mnangagwa, they don't recognize him as a president. And now they are playing tricks of 31 July movement, which have failed and collapsed. And now Jacob Sikala is calling for a week demonstration when a one-day demonstration failed. They are now desperate. They want to talk to ED, and not to talk to ED to fix the economy or to fix the country. They want to talk to ED so that they can go into the government of national unity through a back door and eat the way they ate in the government of national unity before. So they are missing the feeding tray. It's a desperation of an opposition which doesn't want to build the country, an opposition without a game plan to improve lives of Zimbabweans. The Zimbabwe lives matter. It doesn't matter because that hashtag is created by the opposition, which doesn't have a single strategy to build the country, but to seek international sympathy and to force ED into a dialogue that is like dictated by them.
Okay. So I want to ask you a question regarding the dialogue.
Yeah.
What is stopping ED from meeting with Chamisa, who has been begging him to meet and talk?
ED wants to meet Chamisa from day one. But remember, Chamisa is being handled by a lot of people, including Tendai Biti, Welshman Nube, people we know that they are politically bankrupt, so these two people, their political oxygen is coming from the Chamisa tank. So Chamisa is like a bait. They use Chamisa for their own. We know that Tendai Biti is desperate to be Minister of Finance again, and so Chamisa is being. And then the second endless is the G40, So Chamisa is just a political decoy, a political pawn that the highest bidder would take home. So ED wants to meet Chamisa before Chamisa was approached as the official opposition to go into parliament like the Commonwealth strategy, and Chamisa said no. You stole my goats, wakaba mbudzi dzangu, tanga wadzora mbudzi dzangu tigotaura. Then, and you are not a president, you are illegal president. Now, ED is saying, if I'm not a president of Zimbabwe, why can't you just go to Mbare or Mavuku and grab any man and then do a dialogue? Because it means I'm just an ordinary man in Zimbabwe. So Chamisa is not recognizing ED as a president of Zimbabwe. So why would he talk to ED? ED as who? So,
okay, but when Thabo Mbeki, when Thabo Mbeki came to Zimbabwe in December, Chamisa agreed to all the conditions issued by Idi Mnangagwa. And this was agreed, and Thabo Mbeki went back to Idi Mnangagwa. And then Idi Mnangagwa went quiet. This is on the record from Thabo Mbeki's people. Okay.
But what I know, because remember, I won't have access to Thabo Mbeki's people or the inner circle of ED, but Chamisa is on record that Chamisa and MDC Alliance are not recognizing the presidency of ED. As today, Chamisa is not recognizing, is not calling ED President ED. So because for talks to happen, they need to be in good faith. They need to be done for the better of the country. So Chamisa is not recognizing ED. So why must he meet ED?
So are you saying ED will only meet and talk to Chamisa if he's called president?
No. Remember, I'm not ED spokesperson, but yes. I'm talking as a Zimbabwean who is witnessing whatever I'm witnessing. When two people meet, they must be defined so that, because their definition would spell out the area of influence of the area of representation. It's either it is representing ZANU-PF or is representing the government. Chamisa maybe is an opposition leader. Otherwise, if they meet as common citizens of the country, then they can't discuss. They can't discuss. Representing their political parties. They can't again meet and talk about Zimbabwe as a country. The offices they represent would then open up an agenda of topic of discussions. So if they are going to meet as brothers and fellow citizens, then they must just have a bribe. But if they are going to discuss issues pertaining the country, issues about sanctions, issues about recognizing each office, then they need to be defined and they need to have titles and what are they representing. And remember, also MDC Alliance is not calling out for sanctions. I also think that both camps must come down. And Chamisa now, I don't know whether he's still the official opposition leader. Because Chamisa is thinking about the name of his party. He needs to think about the logo. Chamisa doesn't have a party, honestly now speaking. He's an ordinary citizen.
Okay, but are these not the issues that should be discussed during the dialogue? Whether to recognize the president or not, who is who, what should be done, sanctions.
We all know that Chamisa would rather die than to lose his ego. Chamisa has got to protect his ego at all costs. ED Skembe has reached out to Chamisa many times and Chamisa refused. So, and then at his own time, at his own conditions, the ED can be, they can't just wait for Chamisa anytime that when Chamisa wants to come. They can't do that.
But is the dialogue about Chamisa or it's a national issue? Why can't ED call other people who are not Chamisa, churches, NGOs, and kickstart this dialogue?
Okay. The dialogue, okay. Remember, ZANU-PF, they won the elections. They are governing the country. So the dialogue is not to say when you are in power, you need a dialogue to run the country. The dialogue is just a matter of engagement that ED can have a dialogue with the Maim Juru. Tomorrow he can meet even the Tokozani Kupe. A dialogue is not really to say people must sit down and then craft the way forward for the country. Because when you are a president of a country, you can consult anyone you want, your advisors, your anything. So a dialogue is not a condition for ZANU-PF to run Zimbabwe. They are running Zimbabwe.
Okay, so what do we do about this bad publicity? The country's got such bad publicity. The economy is crashing. People are dying because of COVID, including top soldiers. What should be done to fix the situation?
What must be done is that national interest, national security, national symbols, national anthem, national flag, national, the Zimbabwean brand, all those things, we call them patriotism. But in our country, people, they value and concentrate on a party, political party, partisanship. Patriotism must come over partisanship. And so we are busy, and power, if people say Zimbabwe lives matter, they are not honest, they are lying. Because if Zimbabwe lives matter, what are you doing? Are you engaging who? Practically, you must improve people's lives. As opposition, we are not doing that. Opposition, we want to take over power tomorrow. We have got blood power contestation. We are not fighting to build the country. We are not meeting to put ideas on the table. Because if ZANU-PF are in power, they are in control. Surely opposition parties, if we hold on to our manifestos, they are useless. We need to take our manifestos to ZANU-PF to make the country work. But we are afraid that if we give ZANU-PF ideas and the economy improves, then the 2023 elections, ZANU-PF would win. We want the country to burn. We even wish to call for more sanctions so that ZANU-PF can be a failure and it can be taken by demonstrations. Demonstrations are not working. We need to value Zimbabwe lives matter and engage so that the country works. We have got, as opposition, we are so bad. We think opposing is to burn the country to ground.
Okay, so who should make the first move as it is right now?
Every Zimbabwean must do something to better the country, because we think we are seeking sympathy and the global attention, but at the expense of people are dying, at the expense of, let's talk about corruption. There's corruption everywhere. In South Africa now, the government can't even account for the 500 billion facility for the bailout for COVID-19. Much of the money can't be accounted for. But opposition in South Africa are not going to global media and the hashtags. They are not doing that. So we need to stop crying to neighbors. We need to start be proud as Zimbabweans and engage one another, not in a government of national unity, not in a transitional authority. We need to give ZANU-PF a chance now, up to 2023, so that the country must work. If whoever wins 2023, they must take over from a country and economy which is working.
Okay, Mr. Jonas, let us summarize what you've said. You've said Zimbabweans lack patriotism, they focus on partisanship.
Yeah.
You said these hashtags are meant to force ZANU-PF into a GNU.
Yeah.
And you said every Zimbabwean should make the first move.
Yeah.
Right. What else?
Yeah, for example, I had ego, I had arrogance, I was full of anger, but I've climbed down. And I'm urging my young brother, Nelson Chamisa, to say, my man, it's high time you think Zimbabwe. It's high time you take Zimbabwe first. And then you becoming a president of Zimbabwe must come second. Humble yourself.
I think to me what is lacking is what platform can someone use to engage ED. I still don't understand how a person can engage ED, especially Chamisa, for example.
Okay.
How can he engage ED?
It depends whether someone wants to engage ED as a ZANU-PF president or as a national president. I mean, government. If ED as a ZANU-PF leader ZANU-PF has got structures all over the country to engage. If someone wants to engage ED as the leader of the government, there are so many structures of the government of Zimbabwe again. But the problem now is when people want to participate in the governance of Zimbabwe to make the country work, they want to sit down with the ED himself. ED is the national president. So there are so many governmental structures. We've got ministers, there's the permanent secretaries, there's a local government, there's a lot. So it mustn't be anyone who has got an idea, they must sit down with the ED.
But I think that won't work. Someone like Chamisa is working at a political level. They cannot be expected to be treated the same as just anyone.
So are we saying then ED must drive to Chamisa's house?
My thinking would be he should create a platform and announce that this platform is available for dialogue, because this is what's giving our country a bad image.
Okay. The problem is there are so many opposition parties in Zimbabwe. There are so many citizens in Zimbabwe, but we are limiting. Like Chamisa has got the keys to Zimbabwe. Chamisa doesn't have the keys to Zimbabwean economy or anything. Otherwise, probably his party might even not lack funds. But Chamisa lied that America would give him 15 billion. He met Trump. So while it was a lie, the impression is wrong that Chamisa must meet ED. Why can't people say Tinashe must meet ED? Why can't we talk about about other political parties or Busha or maybe Noah Manyika meeting ED? The problem is Zimbabweans think the way the opposition means Nelson Chamisa. That's a wrong narrative.
Okay, but Nelson Chamisa has got councils. He's running 29 councils out of 31, I think. He's got 110 MPs.
He doesn't have councils. The councils and MPs now belong to MDC, represented by Medium Coupe.
Yeah, but to be honest, when that election happened, Medium Coupe didn't own those MPs.
To be honest, Chamisa was not supposed to run as the president of that party because he took power, illegally, unconstitutionally.
Okay, so why then are people complaining about BT and Chamisa?
They can complain, and that remains a complaint. It's not a complaint. Is not no matter how you repeat a complaint, it won't change into effect.
Well, but BT can stop funds, according to Chamisa. He can stop funds from coming from international bodies, and these hashtags, the people being arrested, they're all people in Chamisa's party. Why is that the focus is on them?
I mean, BT and Chamisa, they inherited from Morgan Tsvangirai. It's a political party that is saying everything must shut up until we are in power. They called for sanctions. Now they are stopping funding facilities so that the ED would appear a failure in the ZANU-PF government so that they can take over. The demonstrations of economy is burning. The demonstrations are failing. So ZANU-PF is saying, ban the economy, give us sanctions, but you won't do final push. So we are in that case 22, and the MDC supporters, the ZANU-PF ordinary supporters are the ones who are suffering. So that's why I'm saying leaders must shift from power games to national interest, to national security. Ordinary Zimbabweans are suffering. ZANU-PF leaders are not hit by sanctions. So the MDC, when they call for sanctions, when they say Zimbabwe lives matter, they are not communicating to ZANU-PF elite. They are communicating to ordinary people, and the hashtags, they will never change lives.
Okay, so you are sure that the first move should not be made by ED Mnangagwa?
ED is running the country. ED is the president of Zimbabwe. So the question is, who is Chamisa? You know, Chamisa is not a game player. Chamisa is not a game changer in Zimbabwe. Politically, economically, Chamisa is like any other. an ordinary Zimbabwean can even have ideas. So we must not say if there's a dialogue, it must be ED and Chamisa. We are a nation of hero worshippers. ED is a national president. Chamisa is just a person who is working on his new political party. So any other opposition, any other civic society, any other business, person, any person in Zimbabwe is important for the underwriting of the progress and development of the country.
Okay, so let's say our opposition leaders shift their goalposts, they change their way of thinking and talking.
Mm-hmm.
Is Idi Mnangagwa then going to allow this dialogue to take place? Because I think what is stopping everything now is the dialogue.
Okay, a dialogue must be based on what?
Well, the opposition is demanding a dialogue. You heard Washman Ngube. Well, Washman Ngube this weekend says they want a dialogue. Tendai BT said they want a dialogue. Okay. Chamisa said they want a dialogue.
Thank you. Washman Ngube wants a dialogue, and BT and Chamisa. The dialogue they want is to discuss, to be in government, so that they eat. The dialogue, they lost the election. They must just agree and accept and work on 2023. Tendai BT, Washman Ngube, my advice to and also Chamisa, they must start strategizing for 2023. They must forget about the dialogue. If a dialogue happens in Zimbabwe, it must be done because of ZANU-PF or ED wanting a dialogue depending on the topic. They must not push a dialogue. They lost the election and they must accept that and they must go and sleep.
Okay, what about reforms? Is this not the time to have a dialogue about reforms?
But we have got ministers in Zimbabwe, we have got a government which is running. Opposition must not call for dialogues. Where else have you gone in the world that you find opposition calling for dialogues to demand whatever they want? They must not assume they are in government. They must not be in government on black market. That's why I'm saying everyone must climb down. Ego must be out. ED is the president of Zimbabwe. And it is chance to run the country up to 2023. Whoever wants to assist ED with ideas and everything, every government has got structures, not a dialogue. ED is not going to run the country on charity, on kindness of Chamisa. Chamisa lost the election. He must work on a new strategy in the next 3 years. He must not think he can just whistle and then ED runs to him. That's fantasy.
Right. I think it's very, very clear the position that you have given. To me, it has shifted the way I was thinking about the situation, especially where you say the opposition should not be calling for a dialogue. Is then the collapse of the economy, should it not then be blamed on ED alone? Because he's the one who is running everything.
Okay, ED is the president of Zimbabwe and the president of ZANU-PF, which is the government right now. So people must accept that. I was refusing that, but I'm accepting it. Because by refusing that ED is not the president, it's like fantasy. Because ED commands the army, commands all the vehicles of power. So he's the president. ZANU-PF is the government right now. So every opposition party, including MDC Alliance, must accept that first. If they accept that, then if they go to ZANU-PF or they go to the government, they must go as the citizens who are stakeholders, who want to contribute, who want to participate, and who want to build. Not to go there with their tails high. High for what?
Okay, but you see, what you just said now, all the other oppositions that have gone to Poland, Poland has been stopped now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay,
where do the other opposition parties go?
Poland is, I think it's a platform for engagement. Without Poland, with Poland, anyone is is allowed to engage a government. Whether you engage a councillor, you engage a mayor, an MP, you engage a minister, you engage the president's office, I don't know, but I mean, it's not true that the government of Zimbabwe is not accessible. Because the ED is the brand ambassador of the government of Zimbabwe. It doesn't mean that any person who has got ideas who want to engage the government must meet ED.
Okay, then let's finalize with the arrests.
Yes.
There have been a number of abductions this week alone.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young MDC youths and activists have been arrested. And some of them have been shown injured.
Okay.
Fadzai Mahere was arrested. Right now, Hopo Chingono is in jail. Gary Vume is in jail. Is this not contributing to the bad image of the country?
Okay. The bad image of the country is brought up by the ruling party, by the opposition, by churches, by civic society. If MDC is ideology is Kudira Jecha. They are doing demonstrations that they clearly say ED must go, ZANU-PF must go. So do you think ZANU-PF, they are in power and then they will sit and wait for MDC Alliance to remove them unconstitutionally outside the elections? They can't. MDC, if they are arrested, Opo Echingono is not a journalist. Opo Echingono is the Nelson Chamisa apologist masquerading as a journalist. Opo Echingono is Chamisa Chete. So when Chamisa is fighting ED for power, politics and power games are dirty. They must not cry. If you are fighting for power, you are a man. And make sure that you are ready for the fight. Chamisa is fighting. You know, he did a rally at the Rufaro Stadium some months ago where he announced the 6 types of fight. He called them fight number 1, fight number 2, fight number 6. So are we saying ED and the government and the ZANU-PF are not fighters? They won't fight to defend their power. So Chamisa announced the 6 types of fights and is fighting ED and ED is fighting him back. So no one must cry. They're in a fight. They don't want to engage. If you are a fighter, fight. There was a fight for liberation in Mozambique. People died. People are on a wheelchair. It's a fight. But those people, they're not going to anyway complaining that I lost my leg in Mozambique. It was a fight. So MDC Alliance is fighting ZANU-PF to remove them before 2023. And then ZANU-PF is fighting to defend their territory. It's a fight.
Right, Mr. Tinashe Jonas, this has been a very interesting discussion. In your opinion, you have said that Chamisa is only interested in a GNU and he's not interested in contributing to the development of Zimbabwe. And you have also mentioned that Zimbabweans need to change the way they approach the government of Zimbabwe, and especially the MDC Alliance must be focusing on 2023, changing strategy to win in 2023. Now let's go to your dinner, your planned dinner. Given that all events and gatherings have been banned, are you still going to be able to have your dinner?
No, we're going to postpone it because the corona pandemic, the cases, the spike is getting worse and worse every day.
Okay, so are you going to be able to somehow engage with the parties that you wanted to engage with to bring people together? How are you going to change your approach?
I'm engaging with the different leaders, but my engagement is not about dialogue and the National Transitional Authority or GNU. I don't have the power. My engagement is to say, let's stop hating one another. Let's love one another. I can be a friend. I'm a brother to ED. I'm a brother to Nelson Chamisa. Dr. Tokuzani Kupe is my sister. I mean, we just need to be one family. Let's love one another. Let's make Zimbabwe work. That's my engagement. Not this alliance of, this alliance stands of removing ZANU-PF tomorrow when they know that it's it's a political fantasy. I mean, we need to build the country. Populism must come second. Credibility, reality must be number one.
Right, Mr. Tinashe Jonas, we're having these weekly discussions, and I hope that people get in touch with you and get to engage with you and talk to you on the numbers that I put on the screen. You're always available on WhatsApp. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Zimbabweans, number one, let's shun the MDC Alliance mantra that ZANU-PF must go, ED must go. ED is in the president's office. It's a reality. ZANU-PF is the government today, up to 2023. It's a reality. Number two, let's stop fighting for attention from the Western countries. Let's stop these hashtags. Let's be proud Zimbabwean. Let's engage one another. And Zimbabwe is equally important, and we are equally citizens. I mean, to each other. Nelson Chamisa is not gold, is not platinum. He is just like any other person. We are so over-branding him. And we are spoiling the young man. He's now becoming big-headed and dreaming to be a president tomorrow. We need to work to make the country work. These hashtags, these dramas, I saw Joanna Mamombe, the girls, clearly pulling up a Hollywood to stand. I mean, that's utter nonsense. We need to be proudly Zimbabweans. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Jonas, and I want to mention that you are saying all this with respect. You are not insulting anybody. You are just trying to explain the issues, because I'm sure everyone knows that you have explained that you have taken a new approach to how you engage with the different parties, the opposition and the government. Now, I want to ask you a final question.
Okay.
The NGOs, the churches, how can they approach the current environment? What should they do?
Zimbabwe first. National interest. Our civic society right now, they are divided into ZANU-PF or MDC. They must not be involved in the power equation. Each Zimbabwean must, if they are helping Zimbabweans with the coronavirus or with any other matter, which is their mandate, they must do it. The problem is that every Zimbabwean now is defending ED or defending Chamisa. We can't be fighting in the corner of our leaders. We need to fight in the Zimbabwean corner. Let's talk Zimbabwe. Let's sleep Zimbabwe. Let's walk Zimbabwe. That's what we need now. Let's be proud of Zimbabwe. But we are enemies now. We are divided. It's like Germany used to have West Germany and East Germany. It's like we have got West Zimbabwe and East Zimbabwe. Maybe East Zimbabwe belongs to MDC Alliance, West Zimbabwe is for ZANU-PF. That's not the truth. It's one country. Let's not be a country, let's be a nation. Let's be a family.
Right, I can almost feel your pain when you're talking about the division in the country. And I think that is a topic that we need to continuously talk about, how divided we are and how we can solve this problem. Mr. Jonas, we have run out of time, and I've really enjoyed talking to you. And I think let's have another discussion before the weekend and see what else we can talk about. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity and platform.